Discover the shocking truth. My daughter-in-law's hidden motives to claim my husband's $500K legacy. Clara's breath caught in her throat as she replayed Beth's last words in her mind. You have to consider the future for your children, Clara. It felt like a dagger, twisting with each syllable. Here was the woman who had barged into her life and buried her husband's legacy under a mountain of doubt. Clara had spent her whole life nourishing her family with love and compassion, serving others in her nursing years, but now, here she stood at a crossroads with her heart heavy with confusion. How could she unravel the mess Beth had woven in her mind? The cozy home Clara had built around family photographs and memories was crumbling, and each smile now seemed laced with venomous intent. Could a daughter-in-law betray the sanctity of family? Beth's past was a shadowy mist Clara felt compelled to explore. As a nurse, Clara had learned never to take anything at face value. People hid their truths beneath layers of carefully crafted facades. But what if those truths exposed not just Beth, but Clara herself? The racing thoughts churned with unease, and she clenched her fists, feeling the fabric of her belief tearing at the seams. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the weeks that followed, Clara's mental state shifted like Texas weather. Every time Beth entered the room, dark clouds rolled in, brewing a storm of anger and anxiety. Clara's hands trembled as she scrolled through Beth's old social media accounts, searching for breadcrumbs of a hidden past. What was her hold on her son? Why did it feel like she was trying to dismantle a life that Clara had carefully constructed, brick by brick? One evening, Clara stared at the insurance papers spread on her kitchen table, the numbers glaringly bold and suffocating. Her husband had wanted this money to ensure a future for their children, a legacy of strength rooted in love. Now, the promise of that security felt tainted. How could she salve her heart forged from loyalty when outside noise buzzed with betrayal? Every time her son came by with Beth, Clara felt her world tilt dangerously to one side, the chasm of mistrust widening until it threatened to swallow her whole. The weight of the ticking clock echoed in her mind, drumming against the fragility of her family's dynamic. A long-buried family secret about her husband lingered in the shadows like a beast ready to pounce. Would revealing it shatter the carefully cultivated narrative of her life? Clara inhaled sharply, fighting rising anguish. This was surely going to end in heartbreak, but was it worth it to risk everything? The stakes were high, and she felt trapped in an emotional labyrinth haunted by the specters of betrayal and uncertainty. As she prepared to confront her fears, a nagging voice at the back of her mind whispered questions she dared not answer. What if confronting Beth only hastened the disintegration of everything she cherished? With each moment teetering on the edge of resolution, her heart battled against the gnawing uncertainty that clawed at her spirit. Clara's fingers brushed against the sharp edges of the insurance papers, their weight pressing down on her resolve. Each day felt like a negotiation with herself, wrestling with the decision to either confront Beth or hold her peace, affording the woman an untouchable status in her family. Life as she knew it was shattering, and despite her nursing background, which had taught her to nurture and heal, she felt increasingly like a spectator in her own life, a life now infiltrated by deceit and treachery. The following weeks turned into a blur, each interaction with Beth steeping Clara deeper in doubt. She wondered not only about Beth's intentions but about her own ability to adapt and rise to the occasion. The very act of questioning her capacity to safeguard her family's legacy gnawed at her self-esteem. Clara had always been the bedrock of her family, the one who gathered everyone for dinner, who celebrated milestones, and who supported every dream. A quiet storm was brewing within, however. She felt the urgency to peel back the facade that Beth draped over her husband's legacy. One evening, fueled by a mix of anger and determination, Clara devised a plan. She would take control of the narrative that Beth was spinning. She would not be a passive vessel absorbing the chaos. Instead, she would actively begin the process of dismantling the web of lies that seemed to ensnare her family. Clara opened a fresh notebook, each page a blank canvas brimming with potential clarity. The first line she wrote simply said, "What do I truly know about Beth?" This small question loomed large and spun threads out into the myriad complexities of her own feelings. If she was to confront Beth, she needed not just information but a mastery of her own emotions. Each entry morphed into a verbal sparring match. Her pen flowed with observations, Beth's fleeting glances, her nervous laughter, and the way she often spoke about finances with an unsettling assurance. Days turned into nights as Clara transformed her apartment into a command center of sorts. She moved beyond social media stalking, pushing herself to reach out to old colleagues and friends who might have crossed paths with Beth. She pursued knowledge like a detective, piecing together fragments of truth that would prepare her for the inevitable showdown. During her research, she discovered Beth's professional background, a degree in finance and experience with estate management. It triggered a chilling realization: perhaps Beth was more than just a daughter-in-law. Perhaps she was an opportunist who specialized in wealth, an embodiment of everything Clara felt disconnected from in her quest for simplicity and authenticity. There was something electrifying about gathering evidence, an adrenaline rush that nearly lit a fire within her. Clara found herself wrestling with the ethics of her investigation. Striking at Beth would mean placing her family on the battlefield of consequence, but could she trust a woman with such mysterious undertones to uphold their family's integrity? Fueled by a mix of righteous indignation and sorrow, she practiced what she would say. Each mantra became a promise to herself, a grounding force affirming her values of love, legacy, and protection. As she stood in the quiet of her kitchen, her heart raced with the sense that confrontation was inevitable. She felt transformed, primed to step into the confrontation with a newfound bravery, but as Clara finished her preparation, composing the words that would alter the course of her family's future, a text message lit up her phone. It was from her son, the ultimatum: "Mom, we need to talk. I can't do this anymore." The ambiguity of his message sent a fresh wave of dread crashing over her resolve. Suddenly, she was no longer just navigating her confrontation with Beth. Now her relationship with her son teetered on the precipice. The moment of truth was rapidly approaching, and Clara was about to be faced with more than she ever expected. The stakes had never felt higher. She sank into a chair, the pieces spinning wildly in her mind. Could she really hold her family together when everything was falling apart? Clara's heart raced, a tumultuous cocktail of fear, confusion, and determination. The weight of her son's message pressed down on her chest, a suffocating reminder that the stakes were higher than she initially understood. It was as if a storm had gathered, and she was standing in the eye of it, balancing her investigation into Beth with the unraveling relationship with her son. She needed to focus. Prioritizing her son seemed paramount. The last thing she wanted was to lose him in this chaotic family drama. Clara grabbed her phone and typed a quick response: "What's wrong? Can we talk?" The reply felt urgent but inadequate, a fragile thread that held the remnants of her family together. The moment she hit send, a pang of guilt pierced her. Clara had been so absorbed in the labyrinth of Beth's intentions that perhaps she had neglected her son. What was brewing beneath his words? A sudden thought crossed her mind. Had he already sensed the growing divide in their family, or was this the dam breaking before her eyes? With every second that slid by, the weight of anticipation grew heavier. The conflicted emotions overwhelmed her. Was it unfair of Beth to step into roles that Clara felt were uniquely hers, or had Clara failed to protect those roles as the family matriarch? She recalled past conversations with her son, laughter woven with dreams. Each memory felt strained in light of the current turmoil. Clara pushed herself off the chair and paced the room, feeling the need for resolution. She glanced at the documents sprawled across her dining table, the lines between love and loyalty becoming increasingly blurred. If she didn't step up soon, she risked not only her legacy but the fragile bond with her son. With a deep breath, she texted again: "Can we meet at Home Plate Cafe in an hour?" The cafe held warm memories, birthday celebrations, the smell of coffee mingling with laughter, the comforting backdrop to family discussions. It was a neutral ground, imbued with shared joy and familiarity. As she prepped to leave, Clara's mind trailed back to Beth. The way she so easily navigated family gatherings, charming each member while concealing her true intentions. If only Clara had a glimpse into Beth's mindset. What drove her? It clicked in Clara's mind. Understanding Beth might also reveal insights about her own vulnerabilities. The cafe was bustling with a lively swirl of conversations and clinking dishes. Clara slid into a booth, the wood grain cool beneath her fingers. She felt a mixture of nostalgia and anxiety wash over her as she noticed a young couple sitting nearby, oblivious to the tension swirling in her mind. Her resolve hardened. No longer would she be consumed by fear. Today was about reclaiming her narrative. When her son arrived, Clara could see the tension in his shoulders. She gestured to the seat across from her. He sat down, his expression unreadable, eyes searching hers. Clara resolved to breach the silence first, to reach through the barrier she could feel growing. Eli, I know things have been strange lately. I'm here for you. What is going on? His gaze faltered, and he sighed heavily. It's hard to explain, Mom. But he hesitated, and the tension in the air twisted tighter. The moment felt pivotal, a tether pulling between her family's unraveling and the confrontation she had long prepared for. She could sense his coming words might tip the balance in either direction, forcing her to take a stand not only against Beth but within her relationship with her son. Just as Clara braced herself for the impending revelation, Eli's phone buzzed, its screen lighting up with a notification, an unexpected distraction that sent Clara's heart racing once more. It was a text from a number she didn't recognize, boldly proclaiming, "Your son is in danger. Get him away from her." Clara's pulse quickened, panic racing through her as she tried to process the message. The pieces of the puzzle were shifting again, and she felt herself teetering on the brink of chaos. Would she be able to save her family when the truths buried within them were only beginning to surface? What other threats lurked out of sight? As Clara's mind swirled with uncertainty, she met Eli's gaze again, determined to unveil whatever shadows sheltered in their lives. The time had come to confront not just Beth, but everything that threatened to fracture her world. The cafe's noise dimmed as Clara's focus zeroed in on Eli's expression, captured between confusion and concern. The text's implications cascaded in her mind like a waterfall, each drop resonating with new fears. Danger. Beth. Eli. She needed to act decisively. There was no room for hesitation. Did you see that? Eli glanced at his phone, a flicker of alarm washing over his features. Yes, and I'm worried, Clara responded, her voice tinged with urgency. What have you been doing lately? I need you to be honest with me. I've been trying to figure things out, Mom. You just don't get it. He ran a hand through his hair, the gesture laced with frustration. Things are changing, and it's not just about Beth. It's more complicated than that. At that moment, a realization crept into Clara's mind. What if Eli was entangled in more than just familial discord? The notion made her stomach churn. What do you mean by complicated? Everyone's got their own agenda. I thought I could trust her. At first she seemed genuine. But now, I don't know. There are things happening behind the scenes, he admitted, jaw tightening as he spoke. Whatever it is, keep talking, Clara urged, sensing her opportunity to bridge the growing gap between them. This was no longer merely about Beth. Eli's struggles needed a voice, and now was her chance to listen. Eli leaned forward, lowering his voice. Before you started digging into Beth's past, she actually reached out to me asking about you. It felt harmless then, but the more I talked to her, the more I got this weird feeling. About what? Clara questioned, her instincts sharpening. Well, it's little stuff. She seemed too interested in our family history. Like she was trying to find leverage or something. I thought, maybe, it was because you've been so distant. But he hesitated, contemplating the weight his words would carry. But? Clara pressed, her heart racing. There's this whole dynamic I didn't grasp at first. I think she wants to position herself as part of the family in a way that could shift everything. The revelation hung heavy between them, an invisible yoke that wanted to pull them apart but, paradoxically, also unify them against a common threat. Clara's mind swirled back to the many times she felt overshadowed by Beth's presence, each shared smile concealing ulterior motives. The unmasking of these intentions sparked a fire in her resolve. Eli was caught in a web of manipulation that needed to be unraveled before it ensnared them both. Eli, we need to confront her, Clara decided, determination slicing through her previous indecision. But we'll approach this carefully. We can't let our emotions dictate our actions. We need a plan, and you have to be part of it. He looked doubtful, biting his lip. I don't know, Mom. What if she tries to retaliate? Clara's mind raced to assure him, but the truth dug deeper into her psyche. What if confronting Beth ignited a bigger storm? Still, she couldn't allow fear to dictate her family's path. We can't live in fear, Eli. You deserve to feel safe in your own family. Just as tranquility threatened to settle with the formation of their plan, Clara's phone buzzed again. It was another message this time, a reminder that there were consequences to their actions, and an unknown force lurked just beyond their line of sight. Meet me tonight, it read ominously, or else. Panic washed over Clara once more. Their adversary was deeper than Beth. They were entering a dangerous game she couldn't yet comprehend. Choices loomed ahead, decisions that would shape their future. Eli's eyes searched hers, full of uncertainty but lit by a flicker of hope. Together, they needed strength to rise against their looming adversary. Are you ready to stand and fight for our family? Clara asked, her voice steadied by newfound determination. Eli swallowed hard, nodding slowly. As they left the cafe, a churning mixture of dread and purpose propelled them forward. Clara knew she was stepping into a deeper abyss, one that compelled her towards uncharted waters fraught with peril and potential empowerment. Would they be able to wrest back control and unearth the truth before it was too late? The time to confront Beth was drawing near, but the stakes were higher than she had ever anticipated. Now the question remained, who or what was really pulling the strings in this dangerous family drama? Clara's heart pounded as they walked down the dimly lit street, each footstep echoing in the heavy air. The weight of Eli's shared fears clung to her like a shadow, pushing her to strategize every action that lay ahead. The only thing sharper than the uncertainty was her resolve to protect her family. Mom, do you really think confronting Beth is the best move? Eli asked cautiously, his voice barely above a whisper that floated into the night. Clara stopped, turning to face him. She needed to be the embodiment of strength, yet inside, every fiber of her being warped with the anxiety of potential fallout. Yes, but we must do it thoughtfully. Your safety is paramount. Each word felt like a lifeline, casting responsibility evenly between them. Her thoughts raced back to her own childhood, where bravery was often defined by silence and submission. She had vowed never to lead her family down that path. It struck her then that the very nature of their confrontation would demand more than mere words. It required their unity, an unwavering front. Let us sketch a plan. We need to set the stage to uncover her true intentions, she suggested, a spark igniting within her. Think she'll be caught off guard? Eli asked, a mixture of skepticism and curiosity dancing in his eyes. Perhaps, Clara mused, her mind churning. But we must also prepare for her counters. She'll likely sense we're trying to outmaneuver her. The admission brought with it an unsettling truth. Beth was cunning, possibly more so than either of them had anticipated. They made their way home, each lost in thought about the turbulent waters they were about to wade into. Clara's instinct told her that this confrontation was the catalyst for change, not just for Eli and her but for Beth too. The test of hidden motivations and underlying power dynamics within her family. Once inside, Clara led them to her study, a sanctuary filled with documents and notes scattered around a semblance of order in her chaotic world. We need to gather evidence, she stated, pulling out old journals, family trees, and timelines. Everything you've picked up on Beth needs to be documented. Eli leaned over the desk, eyes reflecting a blend of youthful determination and responsibility. What if I can ask her some questions before anything major happens? See what she admits to? Good thinking, but tread carefully. Clara nodded, impressed by Eli's proactive approach. If she senses you're interrogating her, it could backfire. Instead, frame your questions casually. Oftentimes, the most genuine responses come when people think they're safely sharing. Hours passed filled with whispers of plans and potential scenarios. Clara's initial anxiety began to morph into a sense of purpose. This endeavor would not just confront Beth. For Clara, it symbolized seizing agency over her own life and familial narrative. Deep inside, she felt a resurgence of the woman she had once been: fierce, committed, and unwilling to back down. As the clock ticked on, Eli grew quieter, his own fears illuminating the corners of their conversation. Mom, what if we uncover something more than we expect? What if she's manipulating more than just me? Clara maintained her gaze on the papers strewn across the table, her mind filled with possibilities. Then we build a better foundation around our family, she said firmly, though doubts simmered beneath her composed exterior. Before Eli could answer, Clara's phone buzzed once more. The screen glowed ominously in the dark, bearing another message: you have one chance to turn back. Choose wisely. Her heart raced with adrenaline, echoing Eli's earlier fears. Looks like we're running out of time, she whispered. Eli leaned closer, eyes wide with alarm. What do we do now? Clara met his gaze with conviction. We double down. We will not be intimidated. If anything, consider it motivation, she asserted, reinforcing her own stance against the lurking danger threatening their family. As Clara moved towards the door to face the night, she felt the familiar whisper of courage urging her forward. Let us go meet her. We have a family to protect. Little did they know that this confrontation would unlock more than just Beth's secrets, it would also unveil clarity in their own relationship. But would Clara be prepared to accept the uncharted implications of the truths they might uncover? Clara stepped into the soft glow of the streetlights, her mind swirling with the implications of the confrontation that loomed ahead. She couldn't shake the creeping doubts, and yet a relentless drive propelled her forward. This was not just about confronting Beth anymore, it was about reclaiming her narrative and that of her family. As they reached the end of their street, Clara took a deep breath and turned to Eli. We need to be ready for any outcome, she said, measuring her words carefully. He nodded, though his youthful face reflected the weight of their mission. With each step, Clara reflected on strategies that could unearth Beth's true intentions, how to guide the conversation masterfully. The idea of being on the offensive, rather than merely defensive, invigorated her. Eli was not just her son, he was a partner now, one whose safety and well-being rested in her hands. The notion sparked a sense of protective ferocity that reminded her of her own mother's resilience during difficult times. What amazed Clara was that she felt a connection forming between her and Eli, crafted in the crucible of shared conflict. Each fear, each plan articulated, drew them closer together, a bond she had longed to solidify. Clara's realizations shifted from anxiety to empowerment. They were no longer just a mother and son but a formidable duo against uncertainty. They soon arrived at Beth's house, a place Clara had frequented out of a sense of obligation, but now felt as foreign as the encroaching darkness surrounding them. Clara felt her breath quicken, awareness sharpening as she sensed a deep, unsettling tension fizzing just beneath the surface. Are you ready? Clara asked, her voice steadier than she felt. Eli swallowed hard, but the determination in his eyes mirrored her own. Yeah. Let us do this. As they approached the front door, Clara could see shadows dancing through the window, punctuated by sharp laughter. Beth's voice came clear over the muted television in the background. Clara's instincts kicked in, and she felt the urge to push open the door without knocking to confront whatever lay on the other side immediately. Instead, she hesitated, glancing at Eli. Let us keep our composure. If we walk in there, we need to be aligned. Follow my lead, and it'll be okay. Eli nodded, but Clara could tell he was just a heartbeat away from unraveling. The anticipation was palpable, an emotional cauldron boiling over, each quiet moment threatening to spill the contents of their plans. Before she could knock, the door swung open. Beth's surprise flickered only momentarily before an insincere smile spread across her face. Clara. Eli. What an unexpected surprise. Her gaze darted between mother and son, searching for cracks in their armor. Hi Beth, Clara replied, forcing her voice to maintain a lightness she didn't feel. We need to talk. At that moment, a thrill of empowerment coursed through Clara. Here she was, vulnerable yet resolute, adapting to the situation for the sake of her family. This wasn't the polite chit-chat she had used to entertain. This was the beginning of dismantling a web of deceit. Ignoring Beth's attempts at small talk, Clara pressed on, deftly navigating through casual exchanges as they moved to the living room. Every word exchanged felt calculated, both to help Eli gather information and to shield him from potentially damaging revelations. Eli has been wanting to discuss some concerns he has, Clara initiated, mind racing to stay several steps ahead, hoping she didn't blink and miss an opening that could reveal Beth's true hand. Eli took a breath and, with a clear steadiness, began voicing his questions. Clara watched, a mix of pride and anxiety swelling within her. This was at a moment that could transform their family dynamics completely, but as Beth's responses transitioned from defensive to subtly evasive, Clara's heart raced. The pieces weren't fitting. Each answer deepened her suspicion about Beth's motives, intertwining them with the familiar patterns of her past. The conversation pivoted into tense territory, and Clara braced herself for an unexpected revelation. In this charged atmosphere, the stakes were higher than she had anticipated. She was not just fighting for understanding. She was fighting to protect the future they all shared. What would Beth reveal next? Could it reshape the fragile foundation Clara had been building with Eli? She sensed the inevitable. The looming confrontation was about to reach its critical climax, and an unsettling realization raced through her. The truth was only a heartbeat away. Just as Clara prepared to push for clarity, her phone buzzed violently in her pocket, a stark reminder that their ordeal was far from over. Ignoring it would mean inviting danger to their doorstep. With dread and anticipation weaving together, Clara looked at Eli, their unspoken understanding tightening the air around them. "Keep asking," she whispered, resolve hardening in her heart. "We need to find out everything." And with that, Clara knew they were on the cusp of something monumental, not merely against Beth, but for their own futures. Until the truth came crashing down, they would not back down. Would they both emerge intact, or would this confrontation uncover more than they were prepared to face? Clara clutched her phone tightly, the buzzing a sharp reminder that time was not on their side. She could feel the heat radiating from the small device as if it held the answers she desperately sought. Glancing at Eli, she pushed her apprehension aside, determined to maintain focus. This was their moment to peel back layers, not only of Beth's deceit but also of their own resilience. "Eli," she said softly, her voice steady, "let us dive deeper. Don't let her sidetrack us." The energy in her voice seemed to bolster Eli, who nodded, shifting his posture to match her resolve. They needed to stay sharp, poised for any revelations that might emerge in the critical conversations that lay ahead. "Beth, can you clarify your plans for next month?" Eli asked, his voice wavering slightly but laced with newfound authority. Clara felt a rush of pride and admiration swell with each powerful word he uttered. This was not just about uncovering the truth but forging Eli's identity in tumultuous waters. Beth's facial expression momentarily faltered, a twitch of surprise flickered in the corners of her mouth before her calculated veneer settled back into place. "Well, you know how things can change," she replied, dismissing Eli's inquiry with an airy wave of her hand. "Why worry about what's ahead when we can focus on the present?" "No," Clara interjected firmly, her voice slicing through Beth's attempt at distraction. "We're going to talk specifics. What do you really want from us?" Clara leaned forward slightly, challenging Beth's evasive tone. Each word was a building block of her confidence, fortifying her position in the face of manipulation. Caught off guard, Beth's gaze faltered for a fleeting moment, and Clara caught a glimpse of the vulnerability she had only imagined existed beneath Beth's polished surface. Clara felt a surge of courage. They were unearthing something of vulnerability in another, perhaps, was the first step to breaking the cycle of fear they had lived through for too long. "I just want what's best for you and Eli," Beth stammered, her false placation evident. Clara recognized the shift in tone as Beth struggled to control the narrative. It solidified Clara's resolve, an insatiable need to expose the hidden layers smothering their lives. "Best for us or best for you?" Eli's question pierced the growing tension, his youthful wisdom shining through in this pivotal moment. "What's your intention with our family?" Beth hesitated, and Clara felt the air grow electrically charged as silence enveloped them. The realization struck Clara like lightning. They were not merely confronting Beth. They were pulling back the curtain on their own feelings of powerlessness. In this confrontation, Clara saw not just her son's question, but her own. What was it that she truly wanted? Desperation bubbled in Beth's voice as she tried to regroup. "You're both being dramatic. I'm just looking to mend the fences." The way she stumbled over the words betrayed her growing agitation. Clara and Eli exchanged a knowing glance, an unspoken alliance solidifying between them. Mend the fences or break them apart? Clara was aware that the answers they sought lay in Beth's guardedness, but she also understood that the confrontation could fracture her fragile bond with Eli if mishandled. Her heart raced as she considered the stakes. Tell us the truth, Clara urged, her words firm but gentle. This isn't just about us. It's about where our family goes from here. If you have something to reveal, now's the time. Clara's plea resonated with the ghost of her own insecurities, ebbing and flowing as she attempted to ground herself in the confrontation. Beth shifted uncomfortably, revealing a flicker of vulnerability. Clara sensed she had pierced the armor, and yet, as the moments dragged on, doubt crept in. Before Beth could respond, Clara's phone vibrated again, a sharp insistence reminding her of the danger that lurked outside her current focus. It was a message, one that threatened the very stability she was fighting to reclaim. Suddenly, Beth's facade cracked. You can't imagine what I've sacrificed, she exclaimed, her emotions spilling forth, a rawness Clara had not anticipated. Clara held her breath, aware that whatever lay ahead could determine the paths they would walk moving forward. Sacrifice for whom? Clara found herself asking, each word a probing light into Beth's complexities. The confrontation was evolving, now not just about revealing intentions but unraveling truths buried deep within everyone, including herself. As uncertainty loomed, Clara felt the ground shift beneath her feet. Could this confrontation lead to her finding clarity, or would it only thrust them further into chaos? Eli's watchful gaze urged her forward, and, driven by determination, she braced herself for whatever revelations awaited. Would the confrontation turn the tides of their family dynamics, or would the truth expose more than Clara was ready to confront? The air thickened with possibilities, each breath a reminder that the end was not yet in sight. Clara's heart pounded in her chest, the room thick with an uneasy silence. Beth's admission hung heavy in the air, reverberating off the walls like an uninvited guest crashing into their gathering. Clara's mind raced. What had been sacrificed? For what purpose? The same questions that swirled within her became tangible, and she felt the weight of each unanswered inquiry press down on her. Sacrifice? Eli echoed, his brow furrowed, sensing the stakes had risen. Clara saw the flicker of fear in his eyes, the uncertainty that perhaps, just perhaps, Beth's turmoil was too intertwined with their own. Clara instinctively wanted to reach out to her son, to project that they were untouchable, but now Beth's vulnerability had laid them bare. What have you sacrificed for us? Clara pressed, her voice steady, yet layered with an intensity that caught even herself off guard. It was a challenge that demanded not just answers but a full acknowledgement of Beth's motivations. The heated confrontation transformed from mere inquiry to a potent exploration of their shared past. What stood before them was a tempest of hidden motives, each layer urgently waiting to be peeled back. Beth's eyes glimmered with unshed tears, a flicker of humanity managed to cut through her practiced facade. I've done everything to make this family whole again, she stammered. You don't know what it's like to have been the one left alone when everything crumbled. Clara felt a pang of recognition. It mirrored her own sorrow, a sorrow rooted in their family's disintegration, and yet, Clara realized, Beth's pain was not a license for disregard. She wanted to investigate not only for herself but for Eli as well, to protect him from entanglement in emotional chaos. But at what cost, Beth? She demanded, her tone now sharp with conviction. Is this truly about us, or something you need to reconcile within yourself? Beth recoiled, her breath coming in rapid bursts. It struck Clara profoundly, the battle wasn't simply between them and Beth but within Beth herself. Clara had hoped to align herself with what was right. But now, the trials they faced were blurring the lines. It was clear that everyone bore shadows, and confronting their collective darkness might uncover pathways to healing. Eli moved closer to Clara, his presence a grounding force as they faced Beth together. What can we do to help you? He asked, his voice unyielding. Clara was taken aback by his compassionate inquiry. He was navigating the conversation with a depth she hadn't anticipated, embodying strength and empathy. Beth's silence felt heavy as she processed Eli's question, and for a fleeting moment, Clara glimpsed the shattered fragments of Beth's character, pieces of a woman drowning under the weight of her past life decisions. Clara, uncertain of Beth's response, felt her own vulnerability creeping in. Had she allowed her desire to expose Beth's truths to cloud her perspective? What would be best for all of us? Clara murmured, barely above a whisper. The question was layered, resonating with own struggle for clarity amidst chaos. As both women stood on the precipice of revealing deeper truths, Clara knew understanding was an essential landscape they needed to traverse. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, a reminder that life outside this delicate moment continued. But this time, she hesitated, uncertain of whether to answer. The urgency pried at her thoughts, injecting a reminder of time slipping away. She sighed heavily, torn between her responsibilities and the emotional chaos unfolding before them. "We can't leave it like this, Beth," Clara urged, her eyes locking onto Beth with earnest intensity. "Not anymore. Let us not only confront the past but forge a path towards something real." Beth's expression faltered as uncertainty clouded her gaze. Clara resolved that they had stepped into uncharted territory, one that could bridge the gaps of deceit and pain or spiral into deeper conflict. "Tomorrow," Beth finally whispered, "I'll tell you everything. But I will need help too." The words hung between them, a fragile truce rendered bittersweet. With that, Clara felt a combination of dread and anticipation swirl within her. What would Beth reveal? More importantly, would it solidify their path forward, or would it open new wounds to be scraped raw? As they prepared to part ways, Clara felt the weight of her decisions ahead. She resolved to keep her mind sharp, ready not only to uncover the truth but to navigate the complex web of family ties, personal growth, and hidden truths. The promise of revelation waited just out of reach. The looming question was whether they could emerge stronger or would succumb to the shifting shadows clouding their understanding of one another. The feeling of impending chaos loomed, setting the stage for tomorrow's confrontation, one that could either dismantle their fragile existence or rebuild it from the ashes. Clara's breath caught in her throat as she realized the journey was just beginning, and the stakes had never been higher. Clara spent the night wrestling with anticipation, her mind racing through potential scenarios that could unfold the next day. The uncertainty of Beth's revelations pressed down upon her like a weight. Each tick of the clock felt like a reminder that time was unforgiving. She was damned if she would ignore the responsibility of discovering the truth, yet the prospect of what might emerge, the frayed relationships, the deeply buried secrets, sent ripples of fear through her. Her sleep had been shallow, filled with fragmented dreams that dissipated with the dawn. Clara woke up with an unusual clarity and resolve, her mind pivoting between maternal instinct and the strategic caution she needed to employ. Realizing this moment could redefine their family dynamics, she understood the importance of being anchored in her purpose. She was not merely a spectator waiting for Beth to unveil her truth, she was an active participant in the reconstruction of their lives. As evening approached, Clara found herself pacing in her living room, mentally rehearsing how to guide the conversation. She contemplated the questions she would pose to Beth, measuring each one to ensure they were probing without veering into accusation. The need for diplomacy weighed heavily on her. She couldn't afford to let the tension slip into confrontation. Escalation might drive Beth further into her shell, jeopardizing any honesty they might grasp. The small gestures around her home tugged at her thoughts. Family photos framed on the walls echoed past moments of joy, now suffused with a poignant sense of loss. Clara clung to those memories of unity, yet remembered how easily they could transform into sorrow with each shift in dynamics. Would revealing Beth's truth mend their bonds, or fracture them further? This was the delicate threshold she teetered upon, a chasm that could either lead to reconciliation or despair. As Beth arrived, Clara's heart quickened, but she snuffed out the impulse of unease. They exchanged tentative greetings, infused with an undercurrent of anxiety and unresolved emotions. Clara invited Beth to sit, grateful for the warmth of the late afternoon light streaming through the windows, illuminating their gathering space like a spotlight on an impending drama. "Thank you for coming," Clara began, her voice steady yet inviting. "I know yesterday was difficult." She paused, gauging Beth's response. The woman's body language relayed a convergence of fear and determination, reflecting Clara's own tumultuous inner landscape. "Let us not waste time, Beth," she encouraged gently. "Tell me what you need to share." Beth's hands trembled as they rested on her knees, a signal of the emotional turbulence raging within her. Clara felt her own pulse quicken, anticipating the imminent storm of disclosure. "I'm tired of secrets," Beth started, her voice shaky but progressively steadier. "Tired of pretending." This was it. Clara leaned in, her focus unwavering. Beth inhaled sharply, taking a moment to collect her thoughts. "I thought if I could make you happy, if I could help Eli, then maybe I could redeem myself," she confessed, her gaze flitting away, revealing the depths of her self-doubt. "Redeem yourself?" Clara echoed, the implications threading tightly around her heart. "You feel responsible for our family's dysfunction?" "Yes," Beth admitted, her voice almost a whisper, "but it's more than that. I've sacrificed and I don't even know if it's worth it anymore." The admission unraveled something within Clara. This wasn't just about uncovering Beth's secrets. This was about self-examination. The fragile ties threading through their lives were much more interconnected than she'd grasped before. Clara's resolve shifted as she thought about how everyone was, in some way, trying to navigate their respective grief, their longing for fulfillment. "Maybe," Clara suggested carefully, "this isn't just about your past deeds. We all have scars. How do we heal together?" The room fell silent, the air thick with unspoken words. Clara breathed, determined not just to surface Beth's truths but to carve pathways to a fresher understanding of their shared experience. As dusk settled, casting a shadow across their lives, Clara felt both the dread of entering uncharted territory and the stirring of hope. If they could navigate this moment, they might unearth something transformative. Beth locked eyes with Clara, another wave of hesitation washing over her. What if she began, but the words hung in the air, teetering on the brink. What could it mean, Clara wondered as she felt a flicker of anxiety. Was Beth about to reveal what lay beneath her motives? Or was a much darker truth about to emerge? In the charged silence that followed, Clara sensed something monumental was about to unfold, and she braced herself, heart racing, for the revelation that could shatter or rebuild everything they'd known. Clara sat in her living room, the early evening light casting long shadows across the walls. Uncertainty gripped her tightly as she faced Beth, knowing that the coming hours could shift the very foundation of their lives. With the weight of revelation pressing down heavily on them both, Clara felt the anxious tension enveloping the room. As Beth hesitated, Clara leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. "Please, Beth, if there is something to reveal, we can't let it linger any longer. It's time to lay everything on the table." The urgency in her voice pierced through the stillness, igniting a spark of resolve within her. After a long, fraught silence, Beth finally released a shaky breath. "I thought I could earn my place in this family by doing everything right. But it wasn't just about making peace. There was a part of me that was trying to make amends for my past." Clara's heart raced, the layers of Beth's motivation starting to unfurl. This wasn't merely about her role as a daughter-in-law, it was tethered to deeper insecurities. "But what did you sacrifice? What have you done?" The vulnerability in Beth's eyes was unmistakable, as if shadows of past grievances haunted her. "I had to take a risk, but I didn't think it would ever come to this. The moment Eli confided in me, I saw my chance to fit in, to be someone different from what I had been." Her voice cracked, and Clara sensed the pain woven through her words. Clara felt the iron grip of her own emotions unlock slightly. They weren't just enmeshed in the task of unveiling Beth's secrets, they were unraveling their shared vulnerabilities. "In trying to protect your position, you endangered the ones you wanted to keep safe," Clara countered gently, realizing she was dodging the guilt she had harbored for too long. "We all have scars, that's true. But healing can only come when we own our truths." Beth looked up, uncertainty shifting to intrigue. "You mean the truth about your husband? About everything that's come between us?" "Yes," Clara admitted, suddenly aware that their pasts were intertwined in ways she never fully acknowledged. "His legacy isn't just a financial burden. It's our bond. How we nurture and remember him depends on our actions now." As they spoke, Clara felt herself strangely liberated, each word released from her lips echoing with newfound authority. The weight of betrayal had stewed into an opportunity for growth for Beth and for herself. I kept memories locked inside, Beth confessed finally, her voice steadier now. In clinging to pretense, hiding behind a facade, I thought I could disguise the loneliness of my past mistakes. But I lost sight of what family truly means. Family, Clara echoed, her heart swelling. Means acceptance. It means recognizing our history together. The dichotomy crystallized as she contemplated the distance their misunderstandings had created. Clara understood now that Beth's journey involved reconciling her past with the present. I didn't come here to destroy, only to seek forgiveness, Beth admitted. Clara could see the sincerity flecked within her eyes, and a delicate thread of empathy wove through the air. Clara began to recognize the courage it took to expose such raw honesty, creating ripples of connection. Let us forge a path forward, Clara proposed, clenching her fists softly, the momentum of her leadership building. She understood the stakes now. It was not merely about confronting Beth, but also about rebuilding her family's integrity. This was a pivotal moment for both women, offering them a chance not only to heal individually but also collectively. I'd like to understand how to truly coexist, Beth answered. Especially with Eli. He deserves a sense of belonging that I might have threatened. The acknowledgement, spoken with clarity, flowed like a balm to Clara's anxious heart. You're right. We all deserve a clear path moving forward. Our family should be built on trust, not whispers. As the sky darkened outside, Clara was filled with a renewed sense of purpose. They might not know what lay ahead, but their willingness to confront their truths marked the beginning of a transformational journey. They could build a landscape of understanding and acceptance together. Tomorrow, Clara resolved softly, let us have a family meeting. We'll speak with Eli. It's time for honesty on all sides. Beth nodded, her eyes shimmering with gratitude and apprehension. Thank you, Clara, she whispered, for believing we could work through this. You deserve that chance, Beth. We all do. Clara felt a wave of solidarity sweep through her. This was more than passing the time, it was a step toward healing and restoration, and Clara felt a weight lift off her shoulders. It was a defining moment when she felt herself moving away from doubts that had clouded her existence. As she walked Beth to the door, Clara turned back, her family photos framing the room, raw in their vulnerability. Tomorrow did not promise an easy path, but it instilled in her an anchor, one that promised to bridge the gaps not only within her heart but, hopefully, within her family. Clara was ready to reclaim her narrative and solidify her place as both matriarch and healer, thus proving that every shattered bond could, through honesty and courage, be mended anew, and in the blending of their pain, Clara recognized of the power of unity. She stood resolutely in this truth, a feeling of solidity swelling within her, preparing her for whatever lay ahead with renewed confidence and purpose. Do not wait even one more second. What you've experienced here deserves to resonate. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you never miss another exclusive narrative. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and spread these transformative stories. Comment your thoughts and theories about these revelations, and share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to experience the incredible journey of transformation. The time for action is now, and together we can elevate these stories.